You ever notice how the people who look the richest aren't always the ones who actually are? Like, you'll see someone online showing off luxury cars, designer outfits, expensive vacations, and it looks like they've made it. But then quietly, in your everyday life, there are people walking around in plain clothes, driving normal cars, living simple lives, and they've got more money than most people will ever earn. That contrast is not random. There's something deeper going on. Let me ask you something honestly. When you imagine being rich, what does it look like in your head? Be real with yourself. Is it the freedom to live life on your own terms, or is it being seen as successful? Because for a lot of people, it's not actually about money. It's about what money represents to other people. Status, respect, attention, and that's where things start going wrong. There's this quiet mindset that a lot of truly wealthy people follow. You won't hear it talked about much, but it's powerful. It's the idea of building wealth without announcing it to the world. Living well, but not loudly. Because the moment you start trying to prove you have money, you begin to lose control of it. Think about it. The second people know you've got money, everything around you changes. The way people talk to you, the way they treat you, the way they expect things from you. Even small interactions start to feel different. And it's not always obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. Someone starts assuming you'll pay for dinner. Someone else starts asking for small favors. Another person suddenly wants to reconnect after years of silence. It's not that people are bad. It's just human nature. When people believe you have more, they start adjusting their expectations without even realizing it. And over time, that adds pressure. Now you're not just living your life, you're managing other people's perceptions. That's exhausting. And it gets worse when you start building an image. Let's say you buy something expensive to show you're doing well. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's clothes, maybe it's where you live. At first, it feels good. You worked hard, you earned it. But then something interesting happens. You feel like you have to keep that level going. Now your lifestyle has to match that image. You can't suddenly downgrade without people noticing. You start making decisions based on how things look instead of what actually makes sense. And just like that, you're trapped. Not because you don't have money, but because you're trying to look like you have it. Meanwhile, the person who didn't care about showing off, they're quietly investing, saving, building, growing. No pressure, no expectations, no performance. That's real freedom. Here's something a lot of people don't realize until much later. Money isn't valuable because of what it can show. It's valuable because of what it allows you to not worry about. It's the ability to handle emergencies without panic. It's the option to walk away from something that doesn't feel right. It's having control over your time. None of those things require anyone else to know how much you have. In fact, they often work better when nobody knows. Because when people don't know your financial situation, they treat you normally. Conversations stay real, relationships stay balanced. There's no weird tension, no hidden expectations. You get to see people for who they are. And that's something money can't buy. There's also a psychological side to this that most people overlook. Humans adapt really fast. That thing you thought would make you feel amazing, it becomes normal way quicker than you expect. The new car, the new house, the expensive lifestyle, it feels exciting at first. But after a while, it just becomes your baseline. The excitement fades, but the cost stays. So now you need something bigger, something better, something more impressive. Just to feel that same level again. That cycle never ends. But when you stop chasing that feeling through things, something shifts. You start enjoying simple experiences more. Time becomes more valuable than stuff. Peace becomes more important than attention. And ironically, that's when you start feeling truly rich. There's also a practical advantage to keeping things low-key. When people think you're just average, you avoid a lot of unnecessary complications. You get honest prices. You avoid being targeted by people trying to take advantage. You don't attract attention you didn't ask for. You move through life more smoothly. And that matters more than people think. Because wealth isn't just about how much you have, it's about how easy your life feels. Another thing to think about: when you're not focused on proving anything, your decisions get better. You start asking different questions. Do I actually need this? Is this improving my life or just my image? Would I still want this if nobody else ever saw it? Those questions protect you. They keep you grounded while everyone else is chasing appearances. And over time, those small decisions add up in a big way. The money you don't spend trying to impress others starts working for you instead. It grows, compounds, builds quietly in the background. That's how real wealth is created. Not in big, flashy moments, but in consistent, intentional choices. And here's the part that surprises most people. You can still enjoy your life fully without showing it off. You can travel, explore, experience amazing things without turning it into a performance. You can help people, be generous, support others, without making it public. In fact, it often feels better that way, because it becomes something personal, not something you're doing for validation. There's a certain kind of confidence that comes from this lifestyle. It's not loud, it's not visible, but it's strong. It's the feeling of knowing you're okay no matter what. You're not dependent on anyone's opinion. You're not trying to keep up with anyone. You're not worried about maintaining an image. You're just secure. And that kind of confidence changes everything. You think clearer. You act smarter. You move differently. While everyone else is trying to prove something, you're building something. Quietly. Consistently. And the best part? Nobody sees it coming. That's the real power. Because at the end of the day, being rich isn't about what people think when they look at you. It's about how you feel when you're alone with your life. If you've got peace, control over your time, and the ability to handle whatever comes your way, you've already won. Everything else is just noise. So maybe the smartest move isn't to show the world you've made it. Maybe it's to build a life so solid, so secure, that you don't feel the need to prove anything at all. And just let your results speak quietly for themselves. And when you start living like that, something else happens that nobody really talks about. You stop comparing. You're not looking at what someone else bought, where they went, what they posted. That constant background noise in your mind, it fades. And when that noise disappears, you finally get clarity. You start noticing what actually makes you happy, not what looks impressive to other people. Because if you really think about it, most people are running a race they didn't even choose. They're chasing goals that were handed to them by social media, by society, by people around them. Bigger house, better car, more expensive lifestyle, but nobody stops to ask, for what? What's the end point? At what moment do you finally feel like it's enough? The truth is, if your definition of success depends on other people noticing it, it will never feel complete. There will always be someone with more, someone doing better, someone getting more attention. That game has no finish line. But when you shift your focus inward, everything changes. Now success becomes personal. It becomes about your freedom, your peace, your choices. And suddenly, you don't need to prove anything anymore. That's when money starts working the way it's supposed to. Not as a tool for validation, but as a tool for control. Control over your time. Control over your environment. Control over the kind of life you want to build. And here's something powerful most people don't realize. When you're not trying to impress anyone, you actually enjoy your success more. Think about it. When you buy something just for yourself, without planning to show it to anyone, it feels different. It feels calmer, more real. There's no pressure attached to it. It's just yours. That kind of enjoyment lasts longer because it's not tied to reactions from other people. And the same goes for experiences. When you travel without worrying about posting every moment, you actually live it. You notice things more. You remember it differently. You're present. And presence is something money can't buy, but it can give you the space to experience. That's the real advantage, not the appearance of a good life, but the ability to fully live one. Now here's another layer to this. When you keep your success quiet, you also protect your mindset. Because the moment you start getting attention for your money, it can mess with your head. You start thinking differently, acting differently. You might even start making decisions just to keep that attention going. And that's dangerous, because now your actions are being driven by ego, not logic. And ego is expensive. It pushes you to spend when you shouldn't, to take risks you don't need to take, to maintain things that don't actually matter. But when your life is private, your thinking stays clear. You make decisions based on what makes sense, not what looks good. And that's how people stay wealthy long term. It's not about how much they make. It's about how they think. There's also something really peaceful about knowing that your life isn't up for public opinion. Nobody's watching. Nobody's judging. Nobody's expecting anything from you. You're just living. That kind of peace is rare. And once you experience it, you won't want to trade it for attention. Because attention comes with pressure, and pressure slowly takes away the very freedom you worked so hard to build. So instead of chasing recognition, you start protecting your peace. You become more selective with what you share, who you trust, and where you invest your energy. And over time, your life becomes simpler, but stronger. Now imagine this. You wake up one day, and you realize you don't have to check your bank account before making a decision. You don't have to stress about bills. You don't feel trapped in anything. That feeling, that quiet stability, that's what real wealth feels like. And the best part? Nobody needs to know. Because it's not for them. It's for you. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing the spotlight. You stop trying to look successful. You stop measuring your life based on how it appears from the outside. And you start building something that actually lasts. Something real. Something that doesn't disappear the moment the attention does. Because at the end of the day, the loudest lifestyles are often the most fragile. And the quietest ones, those are usually the strongest. So instead of asking, how can I show people I've made it? Start asking, how can I build a life I don't need to explain? That one shift can change everything. And if you really follow it, one day you'll look around at your life and realize you've created something most people are still chasing. Not just money, but freedom. Real, quiet, undeniable freedom. And the crazy part is, most people will never understand this until it's too late. They'll spend years trying to look successful instead of becoming stable. They'll chase attention, approval, and validation, not realizing those things disappear fast, but the consequences of their decisions don't. Because every time you spend money just to impress someone, you're trading a piece of your future for a moment of attention. And that trade is almost never worth it. But when you move differently, when you stop playing that game, you start to notice something powerful. You don't feel the need to explain your life anymore. You're not trying to prove anything in conversations. You're not dropping hints about what you own or what you've achieved. You're not looking for reactions. You're just comfortable. And that kind of comfort is rare. It's the kind of energy that people can feel, but they can't quite figure out. Because real confidence doesn't come from showing what you have. It comes from knowing you'll be fine, no matter what happens. That's a completely different level. And once you reach that point, Your priorities shift in a way that most people wouldn't expect. You start valuing time more than money. You start protecting your peace more than your image. You start choosing simplicity over complexity because you realize the simpler your life is, the easier it is to control. And control is everything. When your life is simple, your expenses are manageable, your decisions are clear, your stress stays low. But when your life is built around maintaining an image, everything becomes complicated. More bills, more pressure, more expectations, and all of that slowly takes away your freedom. That's why some of the happiest people who have money don't live the way you'd expect. They don't feel the need to upgrade everything just because they can. They don't chase trends. They don't care about keeping up. Because they've already figured something out that most people are still trying to understand. More isn't always better. Better is better. And better usually looks quieter. It looks like having enough and being satisfied with it. It looks like waking up without stress. It looks like having options. It looks like being able to say no. That's real power. Not the kind that gets attention, but the kind that gives you control over your life. And here's something important. Living like this doesn't mean you never enjoy your money. It just means you enjoy it on your own terms. You buy things because they make your life easier, not because they make you look better. You spend on experiences that matter to you, not ones that look impressive online. You help people because you want to, not because you feel obligated. Everything becomes intentional. And intention is what separates people who stay wealthy from those who lose it. Because without intention, it's easy to drift, easy to spend more than you should, easy to fall into habits that slowly drain everything you've built. But when you're aware, when you're focused, when you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, you stay in control. And control is what keeps everything together. So instead of chasing a lifestyle that looks rich, you start building a life that feels right. And that life doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't need an audience. Because it's not built for them. It's built for you. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll reach a point where things just feel solid. No stress about money. No pressure to impress. No need to compete. Just stability, freedom, peace. And that's when it hits you. You didn't just make money. You built a life, a real one. The kind most people are too distracted to create. Because they're too busy trying to show the world something instead of actually becoming something. So move smart. Stay quiet. Build patiently. And let everyone else underestimate you. Because in the end, the strongest position you can be in is the one nobody sees coming.